Welcome to Run With It, Canada's running fitness and health program. On this month's episode, we have the Sports Doctor is in segment, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's go to my conversation with the co-founder of Athletic Brewing, who talks about how he maintains a healthy lifestyle. Check this out.
Joining me today is a very special guest, Bill Shufelt, who's the co-founder and the CEO of Athletic Brewing Company. He's here today to talk about his inspiration behind Athletic Brewing Company and how does he maintain the healthy lifestyle being so busy. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you so much for having me on. Excited to be here.
Yes, but I want to congratulate you, first of all, on your partnership with Arsenal FC. So that is amazing. And your second or third brewery, is that correct?
Yeah, actually, it's going to be our fourth brewery now. Really, I don't think in the U.S. there have been any breweries built dedicated for non-alcoholic beer prior to Athletic Brewing. And we've now built four, and the two largest in the world.
Oh my goodness, congratulations. I'm going to go back to that later, but I want to tell our viewers and listeners about, I understand that you are an ultra marathoner, and tell us about your running background and the journey from being a runner, an avid runner, to having your own brewery. So take us along on your journey.
Yeah, and while I absolutely love running, there's much more professional and accomplished runners out there than me, for sure. I just love being out there. You'll never find me on a podium, but if you told me I had 6 free hours on an afternoon, I would definitely spend at least 2 of those running. And I've run a number of ultra marathons, mostly on the trails in the Northeast and a couple other spots. And really it just came I was very normal, modern, healthy adult. And I was just trying to be a little bit healthier every year, sleep a little better, work out a little better, eat a little healthier. And one year around Memorial Day, I decided, I realized I had felt pretty good on a jog. And I was like, maybe I'm going to try to run 1 more mile every weekend, mixed in with my other workouts during the week. And as it got into the fall, I was going upwards of 20 miles that fall and feeling pretty good. And that ended up actually being the year I stopped drinking. It was one of those things I found a real peace away from my really busy financial career and all the moving parts of life. On trails and on long runs, I just found real peace being away from the phone. And that also helped towards my health goals. And generally, that's when I fell in love with running. And so around that time, that year, I stopped drinking also. And that's when I really started to connect a number of dots on health and wellness, where previously I'd been during my workouts, kind of surviving my workouts and having fun with them for sure, but definitely surviving my workouts. And when I stopped drinking, I felt like I wanted to accelerate throughout my whole workout. And I'd find myself negative splitting my runs and finishing with my fastest miles and having a lot of fun with it and wanting to go farther and wishing I had more time. And that was a real first for me. So that was kind of the genesis of falling in love with running. And ever since then, whenever I have time to go for a run, it's my number one way to clear my head, stay in shape, find inner peace. And I've done a number of anything from 20-mile runs to 50K runs to enormous weekend adventure hikes upwards of 50 miles. And so basically sign me up for it, and I would love to do it.
What an incredible journey. And you quit drinking in 2013, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, about 11 years ago.
And when was that pivotal moment, Bill? When did you that decision? I have to do it. Can you tell our viewers and listeners as well?
Yeah, it was a bunch of breadcrumbs kind of lining up that were all lifestyle oriented and kind of all pointed me in the same direction, though. I talked a little bit there about health and wellness and how I was feeling better when I worked out, when I drank less. And I realized that hydration and the sleep building blocks really helped in my overall fitness. But then I started to realize that not drinking helped in my diet. it was about 6 months till I was due to be married, and I was really envisioning what I'd be like as a future parent, and that surely was not a drunk parent. And so I was thinking about the role model I wanted to be for my children, and then thinking about my career as well. I was turning 30 and like started to take my career very seriously, and so like everything I was evaluating in my life, alcohol didn't really add to, and I decided to put it aside for a while for normal, healthy lifestyle reasons. And I found every part of me was like better without alcohol. And so I never went back, but I really miss that, like the social occasion of having a beer in your hand, the food pairing, and all the great things that come with the beverage alcohol world. And I kind of wondered, why does it have to be the beverage alcohol world? Why can't it just be amazing beverages?
Yes, no, and you found it in 2017. I love the name.
Oh,
Athletic
thank you.
Brewing. I love the name. When I think of it, wow, we can run and have our drink too, non-alcoholic. But it's like, how did you come up with the name?
Through a lot of thinking and trial and error, but mainly because non-alcoholic beer had always been so. As much as non-alcoholic beer lines up with modern health preferences, it's low calorie, mindful. It's not dehydrating. Has a lot of beer has a lot of good things going for it, except the alcohol. So like I had this like positive beverage that should be really fun and better for you and really in tune with modern times, but it was attached with all these like prohibition era stigmas and attached to alcoholism and attached to medical conditions, and that's fine. We wanted to be there and available as a high quality beverage for all the traditional use cases, but we wanted to transform it and make it positive and aspirational and exciting and something people were proud about. And so we decided the word athletic fit that bill perfectly. It's positive and aspirational, and it's globally known what the word athletic means. And so that was, once we heard it, that name just like, it was like such an obvious one for us.
Yes, and the brand too, like, the values you put into the branding, and it's just like, as I said, you can run and have your, it's just psychological. It tastes, in my opinion, like beer, like the IPA, the Run Wild, and the names is it's brilliant. But also want to talk to you about your partnership with John Walker. How did you find him? How did you two connect?
Really through a lot of rejection. So as you can imagine, non-alcoholic beer had not seen any exciting growth or innovation in about 30 years. So people weren't exactly knocking down the door to work in non-alcoholic beer and innovate in the segment. And so I had a lot of lines in the water and was going to conferences and trying to talk to people in the industry, but there just really wasn't a lot of interest. Until I met John, and John was the first person to really get the idea right from the moment I said it. And he was diagonally almost entirely across the country from where I was in Connecticut. He was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And we really hit it off right away. He saw the innovative challenge, the chance to have a positive impact on a lot of people's lives, the chance to make something that was a very sleepy sector but should be great, really what it could be. And so he's been an amazing partner right from the ground up. We started homebrewing on Gatorade jugs in an empty warehouse and have built the brewery, well, now 4 breweries together, and our team of 250 people side by side.
Wow, that's amazing. And so tell us about, the feedback, you have Olympians who drink your product, and so tell us about that.
Yeah, right from day one, it's been exciting to see the resonance at athletic events. That was kind of my marketing strategy, was going to a lot of races that I and people like me and just busy modern adults would run. And so from the start, we were handing out hundreds of beers at finish lines every weekend. And then we took that all over the Northeast first, then all over the country and into Canada. And so it's like right from the start, we had really interesting outreach from very elite athletes, I would say, whether they're in the Ironman world, the NFL, and all different sports. And people just understood what we were after. And one of the more interesting calls was from Ben Hoffman, the lead Ironman athlete, said he's been drinking our beer. This was in 2019. He said he'd been drinking our beer during his training blocks for almost a year at that point. And so he was a really early discoverer. And it was so cool to see pro athletes just get what we were talking about. And I knew from there that everyone else who aspires to live a high performance lifestyle would get there. And it's been really exciting to see that continue on into Canada since we've launched there as well. We're now the fastest growing brand in Canada over the last 26 weeks, so half a year. And on the West Coast in BC in particular, we're a top 4 brand in the country.
Yes, no, that's, congratulations. There's a definite need for it. And so tell us about the Two for the Trails program. I love that.
Oh, thank you. So, a lot of the brand elements at Athletic Brewing come right out of my own lifestyle and ethos. And I'm a huge believer in the outdoors and getting time outside, and really hope that the outdoors is available and intact for generations to come. And so we wanted to do our part in sustainability and making sure outdoor trails and parks and outdoor recreation in general is available for generations to come. And so the Two for the Trails program, we do 2% of all sales up to $2 million. It'll be $2 million this year. We've done almost $6.5 million in the life of the program to date so far. Our company's just passed its sixth year anniversary. Last year alone, we did over 200 donations across 3 different countries. And that's anything from trail cleanups to building playgrounds to really remote building trail systems and all different things. So it's we make hundreds of donations a year and real durable impact.
That's wonderful. And now I would like to go back at the beginning, Arsenal. Tell us about that. It's so exciting. I read up on it and I just tell us your involvement.
Yeah, it's like most things in our brand, it's community led. We hear from our fans in our community and players themselves sometimes, and as we form these partnerships, and really the Arsenal fan base deserves great non-alcoholic beer on match day. And so we're excited to reach out to them and have them be equally as excited for that. And we do know a number of Arsenal fans. It turns out we know way more Arsenal fans than we thought. But the Arsenal community is truly global. It's tens of millions of people. And we're so excited to be teaming up with them to bring them great beer on match day.
At 4 breweries now. Are there going to be, what's next for you? What are the next projects?
We're still early days. Even though Athletic Brewing is a top 10 craft brewery by size in the U.S., out of the 10,000 or so craft breweries, we're still very small in terms of overall beer and adult beverage. If you compare us to the size of an Anheuser-Busch or Molson Coors or someone like that, there's so many more consumers to reach. It's said on average, only about 60% of adults drink alcohol with regularity. And also over 80% of our consumers do drink alcohol at other occasions. So there's a very big occasion base of when people can drink non-alcoholic beers. So we're really just hoping to do a lot more of what we're doing, is trying to be the best part of our customers' day every day, giving them a delicious, refreshing beer.
So from all athletes, and would it be all age groups really, or is there a particular age group that prefers non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah, we generally market to 21 plus. When we first came into the category tended to be, it was actually 75% of consumers were over age 45 and mostly had aged out of beer. And the exciting thing is now we're seeing the first generation turn legal drinking age when you can open a menu and have equally as exciting options on either side of the menu. And so we're seeing, with availability and marketing and excitement and quality products, a lot of people making those choices in record amounts. And so we're definitely seeing major generational trends shifting. And these are big trends. People have been drinking beer for 5,000 years. So to all of a sudden go to non-alcoholic beer is like a major disruption over thousands of years, but we're really excited about that.
Wow, that's wonderful. And where can people buy? And you can get it online, but where else could you get it?
Yeah, most major retailers, we have a store finder on our website. People can also order directly on our website. But yeah, most major retailers will have a nice selection of Athletic Brewing these days. But I would definitely check our website, store finder, before going.
And Bill, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing on my end. Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait to get my afternoon run today.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much for being on the show. And again, congratulations on everything. And
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me.
joining me today is Dr. Bob Weil, known as a sports podiatrist, a respected sports podiatrist, and radio host of the Sports Doctor. He's back on the show for the Sports Doctor is In segment, and he's going to be talking about activities, back to school sports activities, and how to choose your chosen sport. Welcome back, Dr. Bob.
Hey, Christine, I know we've had our ups and downs with the technology. It reminds me of live radio where sometimes I have a guest is in the wrong time zone. But here we are, glad to be back with you. And yeah, it's a key topic that we want to include, which is sports parents paying attention to what's important when their son or daughter is going back to school and joining the team and getting involved in sports, and some important points that we want to share with your audience. And number one is to pay attention to whatever your son or daughter's history physically has been, even to what their experience has been. Sometimes their experience has been terrific with their coach and their teammates, etc. Other times it might have been a challenge with all sorts of problems in one regard or another. So as a sports parent, you want to be a good listener. You want to be able to have your son or daughter share with you what their experience has been mentally with their teammates, etc., with their coach. And you also want to pay attention to the physical side. You know, Mary, are you still dealing with that knee problem you had last year? Or, how's those shin splints been since we were talking about your last cross-country running? And we want to be able to, at that time, pay attention if there are concerns, because one of our big challenges, Christine, is overuse and overkill, where these kids go back to the sport, they've been off all summer, all of a sudden they're getting very aggressive, maybe practicing every day, overdoing it, pushing too hard. I call it the terrible twos, maybe doing too much, too soon, being too aggressive. So we want to let parents know that they're part of the leadership of the team, and we want them to be able to be a good listener with their son or daughter. And to quote my late, great sports psychologist, Dr. Jim Vickery, Christine, who shared probably 4 years worth of radio time with me in the early 90s. He was a sports psychologist, but he didn't use the word psychology in the 80s and 90s because it scared people away. Like, what do you mean psychology? What's wrong with me? But he had a couple of big points, and we just mentioned one, parents be good listeners, but he also mentioned another to sports parents: don't be a critic. Don't be evaluating your son or daughter's performance in the car on the way home or that kind of a situation. And we want to tune sports parents into that understanding. The other topic I know you wanted to touch on, people have been goofing around in the summer. Maybe they've let their exercise program go. Maybe they're looking to get started with the new school year on their own. And we just want them to be smart. We want people to include an activity that they enjoy, whether you enjoy walking, whether you're a runner, whether you like going to the gym, whether your yoga is what you really enjoy. We want people to be realistic, pay attention to your history of problems, and look at those in a serious way before you get back into activity, whether it's to see your podiatrist, make sure that you're dealing with being in the right shoe for your particular foot mechanics, or what your history has been with your plantar fasciitis or whatever it's been. But take responsibility, whether it's you as the runner and the athlete, yourself, or you're the mom or dad of your young high school, junior high school student, and you got sports up to the top of your ears already, and we want you to be involved in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. I really like what you just said about don't critique your son or daughters in the car. Like it's sort of like leave it out onto the pitch or leave it out onto the field or whatever. So there's a time and place to do that. So thinking of that, could you do that like later in the day when it's sort of settled, like after dinner?
Well, I think, again, the idea of not being a critic, if you want to discuss the various aspects of the performance, in other words, getting feedback from your son or daughter, how do they feel about how they did? And how do they feel about their discipline or how they're doing in practice, etc.? And then you could add your 2 cents. But Dr. Vickery made a big deal out of not being a critic. You could be understanding, you would be a good listener, you could give advice. You might have some criticism in some way, shape, or form, their attitude or their effort, and whatever they happen to be doing. But I think a big point is don't turn it into a negative experience. We're all very familiar, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Close your eyes, you can picture them. The overzealous parent on the sidelines, the overbearing coach, whether it's in the history of gymnastics or some of these other sports where we've seen horror shows with what went on, with what some of these kids went through in one regard or another. So, and again, youth sports is a big business, a lot of pressure physically and mentally. And you know what? The more talented your son or daughter, the more the pressure many times is there. Now that they're paying athletes coming out of high school, that adds a whole new layer, Christine. We've had some interesting experts on the Sports Doctor talking about that whole side of things regarding whether your son or daughter is going to get an opportunity to have sponsors before they even get enrolled in college.
Yes. Yes. And I want to talk about your book, hey, sports parents, or, let's
I
talk about
have
your
it
book.
Here to show you.
Yes.
We're going on our 5th anniversary. It's as important today as it ever was. Hashtag Hey Sports Parents. And I co-author it with a Hall of Fame volleyball coach and an athlete, national team member, Sharky Zartman. She's a great radio host herself on Healthy Life Radio. And she deals with the first part of the book, which is Sports Parenting 101. All aspects of this, what's important for you as a sports parent. Part 2 of the book is The Sports Doctor's In. It's my area. I'm talking about everything from the right shoe to orthotics to overuse injuries to prevention of injuries. The third part, we've had 8 or 9 experts in various areas: sports psychology, parenting, mental, physical training, nutrition, chiming into what counts, what's important to you as a sports parent. And the last part is the sports perspective, parents' perspectives, where I have a half a dozen sports parents give their feedback on what it's like to be dealing with a serious son or daughter and these kinds of challenges. And most of the experts in part 3 and the sports parents either have been parents of athletes of mine or they've been radio guests. So it's an important book regarding what counts if you're going to be a sports parent, and we want a positive experience, because you know what? Goes by very fast, Christine. Yeah. And I tell sports parents, please enjoy the moment and the moments, because all of a sudden, when there's no more games to go to, you're going to miss it, my friends.
Yes, such a wonderful topic. And if listeners want to, check your show out, where can they go, Dr. Bob?
You know, my website is now brand new. It's back up.
Yes,
thesportsdoctorradio.com is the new website for people to check out. They can find out about all sorts of instances involving some radio shows. If they go to bbsradio.com/the sports doctor, they can listen to whatever they like in the past. They can catch the half a dozen shows that you've been on when you've been a guest on the Sports Doctor, and they could listen to whatever they would like. And of course, I don't know if this is the 4th or 5th year that the Sports Doctor is in with Run With It, but we got to keep it going, right, Christine?
Yes. And Dr. Bob, thank you so much for being a guest today. And I'm looking forward to having you next month, and without technology problems or technical difficulties.
Right. Yeah, good luck to us with the social media. Yeah. All right, we'll see you next time, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you have a question or comment about today's episode, go to the website, runwithit.ca. Until next time, run with it.
Run With It is sponsored by Mallory's Fashion Network, the Rio Theater, and Craft Hair Academy.